Welcome to our YouTube channel, The Alien Tales, and please ensure that you have subscribed.
The case of the missing alien bride. I'm both the detective and the prime suspect. She vanished on our wedding night. The evidence points to me, but I keep finding clues that she never existed at all. Detective Barnaby Quillsworth had solved murders, kidnappings, and even a case involving a sentient toaster that held a grudge against its previous owner. But standing in his honeymoon suite at 3 a.m., staring at an empty bed with nothing but a few glittery scales and what appeared to be interdimensional lint, he faced his most perplexing case yet. "Zelfina?" he called out, checking behind the curtains. "Honey? Did you phase shift to the bathroom again?" Silence. The kind of silence that made his detective instincts scream louder than his Aunt Gertrude at a family reunion when someone mentioned her pickle recipe wasn't authentic. His bride of exactly 4 hours and 37 minutes had vanished. Zelfina Nebulosa, the most beautiful Andorian he'd ever met, with skin that shimmered like aurora borealis and tentacles that could tie cherry stems into perfect bow ties. She'd swept him off his feet at the intergalactic singles mixer. Literally, her species could manipulate gravity. Barnaby examined the glittery residue on the silk sheets. It smelled like ozone and regret. His phone buzzed. Chief Rodriguez, probably wondering why he wasn't answering calls about the Henderson robbery. "Great," he muttered, realizing he'd need to call in sick to investigate his own wife's disappearance. Nothing suspicious about that. He grabbed his notepad and began documenting the scene, fighting the urge to arrest himself for being the obvious suspect. After all, the spouse was always the first person of interest. The irony wasn't lost on him that his greatest case might also be his last. The bedside lamp flickered ominously, casting strange shadows that looked almost like tentacles reaching for him. Barnaby's morning coffee tasted like burnt disappointment as he spread crime scene photos across his kitchen table. The hotel security footage showed him entering the suite alone at 11:47 p.m. No sign of Zelfina anywhere. "That's impossible," he muttered, rewinding the digital file for the 15th time. She was right there, complaining about how Earth wedding cake tastes like processed sadness. His partner, Detective Rosa Punchbowl, arrived with donuts and skepticism. "Barnaby, buddy, you look like you wrestled with an interdimensional blender and lost." "Rosa, I need you to help me solve a case." "Ooh, juicy murder? Alien conspiracy? Please tell me it involves that weird cult that worships expired yogurt." "It's about my missing wife." Rosa nearly choked on her Boston cream. "You're what now? Since when do you have a wife? Last week you were still using a dating app for people who collect vintage staplers." Barnaby showed her the wedding photos on his phone. Empty photos. Just him in a tuxedo, grinning like an idiot, with his arms around absolutely nothing. "Barnaby, these pictures." Rosa's voice trailed off with the delicacy of someone explaining death to a goldfish. "I know how it looks, but it looks like you threw yourself a very sad wedding party." The wedding certificate in his wallet had mysteriously changed too. Instead of Zelfina Nebulosa, it now read Zelfina, redacted by cosmic forces. Rosa raised an eyebrow that could cut glass. "We need to talk." "Let me get this straight," Rosa said, pacing around Barnaby's living room like a caffeinated prosecutor. "You married an alien bride who may or may not exist, and now you want to investigate her disappearance while simultaneously being the prime suspect in said disappearance? That's accurate, yes. And you don't see the conflict of interest here?" Barnaby held up his detective badge. "I'm the best investigator in the precinct. Who else would you trust with this case? Literally anyone else. My neighbor's hamster has better judgment than you right now." Despite her protests, Rosa agreed to help, partially out of friendship, mostly out of morbid curiosity. They started with the guest list from the wedding. The problem? According to the venue, there had been no wedding booked under Barnaby's name. "Sir, I've been working here for 15 years. The hotel manager, Francine Butterworth, insisted I would remember a wedding involving extraterrestrial beings. We have very specific insurance policies for that." Barnaby showed her his receipt. The paper was blank except for a small doodle of what appeared to be a confused duck. "This is deeply concerning," Rosa whispered. They interviewed the supposed officiant, Reverend Cornelius Beeswax, who claimed to remember the ceremony perfectly. Beautiful service, he said. Though I was surprised the bride insisted on reciting her vows in what sounded like whale song mixed with dial-up internet noises. But when Rosa asked for his records, Reverend Beeswax suddenly looked confused. Wedding? What wedding? I spent last night organizing my extensive collection of decorative thimbles. Something was systematically erasing evidence of Zelfina's existence. Back at the precinct, Barnaby's computer behaved like a caffeinated poltergeist. Every time he tried to access Zelfina's information, the screen would flicker, display a brief message reading, file corrupted by temporal anomaly, and then show a loop of dancing vegetables. Your computer has trust issues, Rosa observed, watching a particularly enthusiastic animated carrot perform what appeared to be the Macarena. This isn't normal, Barnaby insisted, frantically clicking through databases. Yesterday I had her whole file, immigration records, species identification, even her favorite Earth snack foods, which were pickled herring and cotton candy. She said the combination reminded her of her home planet's monsoon season. Rosa made a note that read, "Subject possibly delusional or married to galaxy's weirdest foodie." Tech specialist Jerry Polymorphic examined Barnaby's computer with the enthusiasm of someone who'd rather be literally anywhere else. "Dude, your hard drive is cleaner than my search history after my girlfriend borrows my laptop. Someone, or something, performed a military-grade data wipe. But that's impossible. This is a police station. We have backups for our backups." Jerry shrugged. "Tell that to whoever has access to technology that makes our best cybersecurity look like a screen door on a submarine." They discovered something even stranger. Security cameras throughout the city showed glimpses of a shimmering figure next to Barnaby over the past 3 months. But the footage kept degrading, leaving behind only digital static and what looked suspiciously like cosmic interference. "Either you're the victim of an elaborate hoax," Rosa concluded, "or you married someone who's being actively erased from reality." Returning to the hotel room felt like revisiting a crime scene where he was both victim and perpetrator. Barnaby examined every inch with forensic precision while Rosa provided running commentary. "So this is where the magic happened," she said, photographing the glittery residue. "Romantic. Nothing says eternal love like interdimensional debris." Under the bed, Barnaby found something that made his heart skip. A small, crystalline device that hummed with otherworldly energy. It was warm to the touch and seemed to pulse with its own heartbeat. "That's new," Rosa said, immediately calling for the hazmat team. "No, wait," Barnaby protested. "This is hers. I remember now." She called it a memory keeper. Said it stored important moments from her life. The device activated at his touch, projecting holographic images around the room. There was Zelfina, laughing at his terrible Earth joke about why aliens don't land at airports. There she was, crying during their first dance to "Can't Help Myself" by the Four Tops, claiming the song's primitive emotional resonance overwhelmed her sophisticated nervous system. "Barnaby," Rosa whispered, "these images, they're of you, alone, dancing with air." But Barnaby could see her clearly in the projections, tentacles swaying to the music, her bioluminescent spots twinkling with joy. The disconnect between what he saw and what Rosa described made his head spin like a carnival ride operated by drunk teenagers. The device suddenly cracked, the hologram flickered, and Zelfina's voice echoed through the room. "Find me, Barnaby, before they erase everything." Then the device crumbled to cosmic dust. Dr. Evangeline Crankshaw, the city's leading expert on extraterrestrial affairs and owner of 3 PhDs in subjects that didn't exist when she was born, examined the dust samples with scientific precision and barely contained excitement. "Fascinating," she muttered, peering through a microscope that looked like it belonged in either a laboratory or a steampunk fever dream. "These particles contain traces of quantum consciousness and what appears to be crystallized emotion." "In English, please," Rosa requested. "Someone or something has been systematically removing an entity from our reality. But the process is incomplete. Fragments remain, like cosmic fingerprints." Barnaby leaned forward. "So she did exist?" "Oh, she existed. The question is whether she was supposed to exist here, in this dimensional framework." Dr. Crankshaw pulled up complex equations on her holographic display. "Tell me, Detective, did your wife ever mention feeling displaced, like she didn't quite belong. Every day, Barnaby admitted. She said Earth felt like wearing shoes that were almost the right size. Clothes enough to function, but never quite comfortable. Classic symptoms of dimensional displacement. I suspect your Zelfina was never meant to be in our reality. Someone or something has been correcting what they perceive as an error. But who? Dr. Crankshaw's expression grew grave. The only beings with that kind of power are the cosmic auditors, interdimensional bureaucrats who maintain the integrity of the multiverse. They're like accountants, but with the power to erase mistakes from existence.
Rosa snorted.
Great. We're dealing with cosmic bean counters. Don't underestimate them, Dr. Crankshaw warned. They consider unauthorized dimensional travelers a serious violation of universal law. That night, Barnaby's dreams were invaded by memories that felt both real and impossible. He remembered meeting Zelfina at the intergalactic singles mixer, but now he could see the truth. She'd been running from something, looking over her shoulder with the paranoia of someone who'd left their stove on in another dimension. I'm not supposed to be here, she'd confessed during their third date at the planetary diner, where the soup of the day was literally made from compressed starlight. I escaped from a place where my existence was problematic. Problematic how? I was created by accident. A cosmic glitch during a dimensional merger. The auditors marked me for correction, but I ran before they could process my deletion. Barnaby had thought she was being poetic. Turns out she was being literal. He woke to find a note on his nightstand, written in Zelfina's distinctive handwriting that looked like musical notation had a baby with ancient hieroglyphs. They're coming for me, but I won't let them erase us. I've hidden myself in the spaces between reality. Find the Quantum Cafe on Probability Street. Ask for the breakfast that never was. Trust no one who exists too confidently. Rosa found him the next morning, frantically searching online maps for a street that apparently didn't exist. Probability Street isn't showing up anywhere, he complained. That's because it only exists on Tuesdays that fall on odd-numbered days during months that start with the letter J, Rosa said, reading from a book titled Interdimensional Geography for Dummies that had materialized on his kitchen counter. That's today. I know. I checked 3 times because I don't trust coincidences anymore. Probability Street materialized between 5th and 6th Avenue like a cosmic hiccup, complete with street signs that flickered between languages no human throat could pronounce. The Quantum Cafe sat at the corner, its existence so tentative that looking directly at it required squinting. This place gives me a headache just by existing, Rosa complained, following Barnaby through a door that was simultaneously open and closed until they decided to walk through it. Inside, the cafe defied several laws of physics and at least 2 health codes. Customers included a businessman reading a newspaper from tomorrow, a woman having coffee with her alternate universe self, and something that looked like a geometric anxiety attack wearing a fedora. The waitress, Dolores Probability Henderson, approached with the weary expression of someone who'd been serving impossible orders since before time was invented. What'll it be, sugar? The breakfast that never was, Barnaby said, feeling ridiculous. Dolores' demeanor shifted immediately. You're the detective looking for the glitch girl. Booth 7, back corner. She's been waiting, but booth 7 was empty except for a cup of coffee that steamed with memories instead of heat. As Barnaby sat down, the air shimmered, and suddenly Zelfina was there. Translucent, flickering, but undeniably real. Barnaby, she gasped, her voice echoing from multiple dimensions. You found me. Are you okay? You're see-through. I'm existing in quantum superposition to avoid the auditors. I'm both here and not here until someone observes me directly for more than 30 seconds. Rosa, who had been counting, held up her stopwatch. 28, 29. Zelfina flickered and vanished. The auditors arrived at precisely 3:17 p.m. with the fanfare of a tax audit and the ominous presence of a dentist appointment. They materialized in the police station as 3 beings that looked like accountants designed by someone who'd only had accountants described to them by a fever dream. Detective Quillsworth, said the lead auditor, whose name tag read Gregory 9947B. You are harboring a dimensional anomaly. She's my wife, Barnaby protested. standing up from his desk with the defiance of someone who'd fought parking tickets and won. Negative. The entity designated as Zelfina Nebulosa is an unauthorized existence created by dimensional instability. Her presence threatens the structural integrity of reality framework 7 Alpha B. Rosa, ever the pragmatist, raised her hand. What exactly does that mean in terms regular people can understand? If she continues to exist, this entire dimension could experience what you might call a cosmic blue screen of death, explained Auditor Marvin 3301C. Everything would need to be rebooted, which involves temporarily not existing for approximately 47 billion years. That seems excessive, Barnaby observed. We do not make the rules, Detective. We merely enforce them with extreme prejudice and appropriate filing procedures. The third auditor, Susan 7756A, consulted her clipboard. However, there is a procedure for dimensional marriage appeals. Form 99X, Delta Impossible, filed in triplicate across 3 different realities, with supporting documentation from at least 5 witnesses who can prove they exist. How do you prove you exist? Rosa asked. Very carefully, Susan replied. The appeal process typically takes 4,000 years. Your wife will remain in quantum limbo during the review period. Barnaby felt his hope crumble like a cosmic dust cookie. But then he remembered something Zelfina had said. Trust no one who exists too confidently. I have a counter-proposal, Barnaby announced, surprising everyone including himself. Gregory 9947B consulted his manual. Unauthorized counterproposals are not permitted under Regulation 47B, subsection infinity. What if I told you that by existing, Zelfina has actually improved dimensional stability? The auditors exchanged glances that could freeze theoretical physics. Elaborate. Barnaby pulled out his case files. Every mystery he'd solved since meeting Zelfina had been more successful, more elegant, more complete. She doesn't destabilize reality. She helps organize it. Look at my crime-solving statistics. My success rate improved 847% after meeting her. That is statistically improbable, Marvin admitted, reviewing holographic data. Because she sees patterns we miss. Her glitch perspective reveals solutions that linear thinking can't reach. She's not a bug in the system. She's a feature. Dr. Crankshaw burst through the door, waving papers. I've been analyzing the quantum resonance data. Zelfina's presence has actually been stabilizing local reality fluctuations. Crime rates down 23%, dimensional tiers reduced by 67%, and inexplicably, everyone's coffee tastes better. The auditors huddled in bureaucratic conference. Finally, Gregory spoke. We will grant a provisional existence permit, pending quarterly reviews and mandatory filing of Form 18 Love. Actually, Zelfina materialized fully, no longer translucent, solid and laughing with joy that sounded like cosmic wind chimes. So, Rosa asked, what happens now? Barnaby kissed his wife, tasting stardust and infinite possibilities. Now we solve crimes together. I'm still the detective, but she's my partner in both crime solving and existence. And I'm the prime suspect in the case of the missing alien bride, Zelfina added with a grin that could power small solar systems. How do you figure? Because I stole something irreplaceable. What? Your heart? You wonderful, dimension-crossing fool. Rosa groaned. I'm requesting a transfer to traffic. The end.